that's it for Kafka, I guess. Speaking of Kafka, I recently made a video. I do wonder, how did it what? Well, this is unexpected. I didn't think my video would get so many views. Well, in some eyes, 2,000 may not be a lot, but you have to understand, this doubled my subscriber count and more than tenfold multiplied my view count. I have 400 watch hours, 300 as of editing this video. This is the second part of the Honkai playthrough and analysis. Special shout out to all of these amazing people here on the screen. I love you all. You guys are kings. You need crowns. I hope you get a great rest of the year. But I do need to correct something. In the previous video, when Einstein is talking to a mysterious person, he was not talking to Himiko, and thanks to these people here, I'm going to correct it now. Kudos to you! He was talking to Branya. He was giving her the Star of Eden. I don't know what that is, but I'll find out in this video, I guess. One more thing before I begin this analysis and review. I will not be reviewing chapters 90X, 13, and 14, as I said in the previous. I will not be reviewing 11EX, 13, and 14. I'll be reviewing 90X1, 90X2, 10, 11, and 12. Because 11EX, 13, and 14 are based to a completely different character of development. And I feel like it would be unfair to include, my thumbnail of the last video was Himiko, and Himiko was kind of the main star of the show in the previous video and arcs. And so here I want to just put a light on one character in the thumbnail that's getting the most amount of development. And in the next video, I'll put the other character who's getting development. So, let's begin with part 2. Part 2 opens up with Best Girl Rita recalling as to what happened after the Honkai eruption. Kiana has gone missing and everyone has been searching for her for the past 4 months. Rita reveals that Kiana was spotted in a place called Arc City. Huh, an arc called Arc City. Yep, this is a certified dollway moment. Otto reveals that a person named Great Serpent revealed info and rumors about Kiana being in that city. He also tells us that Teresa, May, and Branya are in the city as well in search for this Great Serpent person. Otto tells Rita that she needs to get info before this trio of traitors does. And my god, let me just appreciate Rita's design here. Okay, let's move on. Rita manages to find this Great Serpent person, but he is not the biggest fan of Rita, as she killed his bodyguards. Rita also tries bargaining with Great Serpent by threatening him, but this guy says that he won't trade if his life is on the line. This means that if Rita were to kill him, she would lose intel on Kiana. But because Rita isn't stupid, she kills Great Serpent with no elaboration, and we move to the Far East Trio, or the Traitor Trio. The trio had just arrived in Arc City and they too are in search for this Great Serpent. The only difference is that they arrive at the site of destroyed mechs and a dead Great Serpent. Branya uses her good scans to say it was done by a professional and that all parts of his body that could have revealed info were removed, except a certain biochip that can reveal some information on a location that can give them more info on Kiana's whereabouts. The trio extract that thanks to Branya and start heading to that location that was revealed. Meanwhile, Rita is reporting back to Otto, and we find out that Great Serpent is part of a big organization called the World Serpent. Huh. Would you look at that? Which makes the third big organization in this story. Rita reveals that she is planning to use the Far East Trio to get to Kiana's whereabouts. She killed Great Serpent and she knew that his body prosthetics could be potential keys to valuable information. But because she didn't have enough time to test it all, she destroyed everything except a certain biochip that Branya hacked earlier. Rita had already planned everything. She will let the traitors do all the work for her and she will just swoop in at the last minute to get her reward. A true huntress. I'm honestly in love with Rita here. She was the first characters to give us answers in the part 1 of this series, and now in part 2 she's making these big moves. Not just that, but her battle suit is just so perfect for this arc. She's the one that's hunting, and her ultimate is a dog. A good hunter always has his best friend, the dog, with him. Not just that, but Rita's scythe, this time around, is a more techno-based and even has a green line of poison for her enemies, contrary to her sharp end in the previous arc. We also get to witness some of the more dogshit combat with Rita's dog. Man, that was rough. Also, I would just like to point out that Rita's lines here are about sweeping are absolute perfection, and I love her winning pose, it's great. Moving on, we are switched back, again, to the traders. Bronya used the biochip to shut down all the mechs in the area. Not only that, but she also is able to get inside the Grey Serpent's main section of information. Bronya finds out that all that info is unsorted and unorganized. It would need her a couple days to look through all of these. It is also revealed that this Grey Serpent had a cyborg child that basically organized all this info on a whim. The traders naturally try to get information out of her, but the child is soulless, isn't obeying Bronya or Theresa. The trio continue through the city with the child, and Rita begins to follow and monitor them. The child isn't giving any answers in, and May notices someone may be following them. After a while of following, Rita loses track of them, and May ambushes Rita. Rita is a bit playful with her words, but May doesn't enjoy it. A fight breaks out, and Rita is naturally winning. May managed to break away with the smoke bomb. Theresa and Bronya are also ambushed by a few Shixel mechs. Theresa tells May to take a different route, as she noticed that Rita may have put a chip so she could follow them. Now, this next section, oh my god! This was amazing. So the traders managed to regroup, but the happiness does not last one bit, because we get a couple things revealed. We see Rita in a brand new battle suit, and we find out that she is an S-rank Valkyrie. I thought she was an A-rank because she was fighting on the level of Fuhua. What? This battle suit is called Argent Knight Artemis, and it is such a power move. Rita is able to fight May, Bronya, Theresa all at once, and not only hold her ground, but she was playing with them. Could you imagine that? Even when Theresa went into her next form, Rita wasn't phased. This was the shit. In the end, it ends by Rita disappearing because she found them too boring. But this is great, man. I need to see more of Rita. And this, I love it. Continuing into Chapter 9 EX Part 2. Jesus Christ, it feels like I'm reading an Attack on Titan season title. We get a small flashback and Theresa in an anti-entropy base alongside Einstein, Tesla, Bronya, May, and Serpent's assets we are supposed to analyze for information. Einstein is the one doing the analysis, whilst the others are reporting on their encounter with Rita. Tesla gets a flashback, so we get a call from Cocolia. Turns out Cocolia wants to work with the traders in order to stop Otto, because it's their common enemy. Naturally, the traders are obliged, even though Cocolia isn't the ideal ally. Whilst Cocolia was giving coordinates to their meetup location, something hacks into their system. That something is the previously killed Grey Serpent, wanting to finish their deal. Even after death, he has an obligation to finish the deal. Not only that, but this fucker hacks the Hyperion, and it is starting a force crash. We get to see May in a new Valkyrie suit, which looks amazing by the way. Its casual white clothes fit suits her after she just lost her powers, in my opinion. Theresa and May defend the dock, whilst Einstein pulls his special pet to hack the Hyperion back. In order to fully complete that, Bronya would need to enter a special firewall space. Once she does, Grey Serpent starts kill triggering Bronya and her past by playing with her fears. St. Freya burning down, not being able to save Wendy, Siberia, the place she grew up. All of this accumulates and Bronya is giving into guilt. Luckily, a very familiar figure is there to warm Bronya up and help her mental state. That figure is Fuhua in her divine outfit, or whatever it's called. It is also revealed that this figure of Fuhua that has appeared to Himeko and Bronya by this point is not the Fuhua they knew in St. Freya, but rather a fragment she left to them while she was alive. This was the 8th divine key, Feng Wang Down. Fuhua helps Bronya recover and defeat the Grey Serpent in her mind. Bronya starts fighting the real firewall this time, and we are introduced to a mysterious old man who is a scientist alongside Einstein. They're talking about the Eye of the Deep and the Sea of Quanta, which Bronya doesn't understand anything about it at all. This person's name is Welt. Welt is trying to enter the Sea of Quanta in order to get an answer on how to stop the Honkai that's killing people. Not only that, but he is pushing Einstein to do something dangerous because they are scientists, and without risk, there is no saving. Einstein eventually gives in, and we begin to do a test. In this test, Welt is transferred to what I would like to call the Sea of Quanta, and he talks to a random person whilst Einstein is trying to figure it out. Not long after, we see Welt calling a big snake the World Serpent, a madman for trying to save the world from Honkai. Not only that, but he sacrificed himself so Einstein wouldn't end up in the Sea of Quanta. Whatever in the fuck just happened right now? I want some answers. Who is this serpent person that Welt was afraid of and calling them a madman for wanting to save people from the Honkai? It must be some sort of twisted turn. Is this what Otto was trying to protect the world, the Honkai world from? Is this why Otto was trying to get Kiana with her powers so he has a way to combat this monster? We will hopefully find out answer in a future chapter, I would like to say so. Let's move on to our first real chapter, chapter 10. We'll start this chapter off by talking about Grey Serpent's asset. Apparently has a name, it is Niño. Whilst that does give us a name to call it, it certainly does not help Einstein and the crew that they will have to make do with what they have at Anti-Entropy HQ to find Kiana's whereabouts. We are brought back to Cocolia's request of teaming up by Tesla. Einstein already said that he had discussed the matter with Teresa, that being that there's two options. We either abandon Cocolia in pursuit of Kiana, or the second option, where we split forces on both fronts of looking for Kiana. Naturally, option 2 is a lot riskier because we can lose both Kiana and lose the war with Cocolia in the coordinates that we need to go, and that would basically mean GG. In this next section, we play as May, and May is put in a weird situation here. May is close to finding Kiana now, but she also has a gentle soul wanting to protect others. We ask Teresa, May, Tesla, Einstein, and Bronya what they think. We have a vote, and option 2 won with votes from May, Bronya, and Tesla. I can understand Bronya's and Tesla's stance here, and I can seriously understand May's stance as well here. My main guess is that Kiana is a kind and gentle soul wanting to protect others, and she is already in deep turmoil that she's the reason Himeko is dead now and that a lot of people are hurt. May, knowing that if she abandoned a whole base of people to die to Shixel, Kiana would probably be even more saddened, so she voted for option 2, where they would save both. This ends the voting, and we begin our adventure to the deep. Before we arrive there, we are on a beach and we meet Rosalia and Lilia. They have tails, they have horns, and they're super powerful. They also aren't part of their natural body, and Cocolia raised them. Cocolia, you bitch, you did it again. Bronya and Sere weren't enough, huh? After the encounter with 2 more kids, we start going to the deep. And whilst on our journey, I just want to say that there's this fucking adorable here, and that if anything happened to her, I would care everyone here than myself. Moving on. Once we arrive there, Cocolia greets us as a frenemy. She threw the Gem of Desire into the Sea of Quanta so the traders could protect her from the Shixel for longer. We explored the layer below, where the Eye of the Deep is located. Yeah, Editor Dark here, as someone forgot to include a fucking plot point about Otto and the Hersher, so Otto want Gem cause he want Hersher shit. Done. Back to the video. This deep sea looks like a Subnautica's lower layers. Now we just wait for a Leviathan to jump us. Haha. Surely that won't happen. Right. Once we get to the portal, Einstein explains that he will be the one going in because his body is naturally adapted to the quantum energy. Earlier, Teresa said that some sort of weird eye is looking for her. And that means that she is rejected by the quantum, so naturally she can't go in. As for Bronya, she isn't tested yet, and that would be a huge risk. Once Einstein opens the portal, all Honkai beasts will be attracted to the portal, so they will need to fiercely defend it and give it their all. Cutting back to the Hyperion, Einstein informs us that the portal to the Sea of Quanta will be stable in about 20 hours. Not only that, but we are tasked with babysitting Lilia and Rosalia. Bronya takes care of this as she doesn't want to make Einstein tired before the Sea of Quanta venture. They play a game of hide and seek where the twins set up a mini trap for Bronya. Once Bronya fights off the mechs and the beasts, the twins take Bronya to a hidden place retelling her the stories of the orphanage and how... Hello everyone, Editor Dark here again. Before you hear my grumpy voices here and question why, I will just say that I really dislike the character niche where it's a parent that's bad, and in the end, their whole character point is them correcting a mistake, apologizing how they were desperate, all that bullshit. I hate that character niche. I always will do, and in my opinion, on Cocolia, it's done awfully. So don't question it when I say I hate Cocolia. I hate that character niche, and it's done awfully on Cocolia. I could not care for any mommy argumenters out there. Moving on. Cocolia doesn't actually hate Bronya or dislike Bronya. They show her graves of the friends at the orphanage, explaining that Cocolia only pretends to be alright, but everyone knows she isn't. Cocolia shows up, tries talking to Bronya, but... Bronya, my goat! Sorry for that. Bronya gets character development and fucks Cocolia off. Einstein begins spying on the deep end because he sensed something. He saw Cocolia and she was speaking with the Great Serpent. Einstein got discovered and... Boom! Einstein got shot by the Great Serpent. with a typical "you mess with the wrong fool" or something, I don't know. The Sea of Quanta opens up and an omega large horde of Honkai beasts is attracted. Teresa and Bronya are alerted immediately and they begin searching for Einstein. After a while they decided to go to the Sea of Quanta themselves since they can't find Einstein anywhere other than to protect the portal, thinking he had already went in. Before we enter, Cocolia attempts to stop Bronya because she still sees her as her own daughter, and well, she fails. Cocolia calls for the twins to stop Bronya and Teresa. Teresa and Bronya are starting to get bombarded by the amount of Honkai beasts, and Teresa reveals that Einstein had removed the limiters off her upgraded battlesuit we encountered in part 1 with the blade skirt. Seems like Otto had the right to think she can beat the Herrscher, huh? Teresa destroys them all, and the portal even manages to attract a massive Honkai beast called the Tlalok. Alongside the twins, they manage to fend off this huge beast, and the ground beneath breaks. The portal begins to close and Bronya takes the initiative to enter the Sea of Quanta without even thinking for her own safety. Once she enters, a mysterious boy called Joachim welcomes her to the Sea of Quanta. As we enter into the Sea of Quanta, a child named Joachim welcomes us and tells Bronya that since she hasn't been there for so long, she can still return. Bronya refuses as she is there for the Gem of Desire. This child puts us through a test where we fight some Honkai beasts and a brand new enemy called a Quantum Tauros. This fight also introduces us to a brand new Valkyrie battlesuit for Bronya called Drive Cometa. Instead of shooting rockets, we use a laser that gradually builds up over time to be an even bigger laser. It also brings back the shield and counter mechanic, which I'm not too fond of. The Valkyrie suit is black, grey and red. It's sort of made to be heavily revolved around tech. Still, I genuinely want Bronya's character on gameplay to have more mobility. After fighting off the Quantum monster, Joachim says that the conventional weapons humans use won't work on them, but it seems that Bronya has conquered that barrier. She asks about the test and Joachim says it has only just begun. Bronya blanks out. She wakes up in a familiar place with a familiar voice. Thank you, Honkai devs. Bronya tears up as she sees the goat. Himeko comforts her. Fuhua is also there to comfort her. Bronya makes an observation that this dimension is probably part of the exam. It may feel alien, but she can't help but to give in to her happiness, at least for a little bit. After the class, we spar with Himeko, and Himeko congratulates Bronya for basically knowing her moveset without fighting her once. We are back in class, and it's history time! Cocolia is our teacher, but this time around she is a Valkyrie, helping others. Cocolia asks Bronya how much she knows about the second eruption. This is where we find out that the second eruption in this world didn't cause a massive devastation, but rather it was mobilized quickly and Cecilia and Siegfried are still alive. Once we determine that fact, Cocolia makes a speech about Valkyries needing to be free rather than tools of Schicksal. Everyone claps and the class ends. Fuhua intervenes by saying that we got a mission that needs urgent care and they only have 4 Valkyries ready. Cocolia suggests that Bronya goes with them. Once we arrive there, our 5th member is running late. Once she arrives, we find out it's Sere, Bronya's friend from the past, and I will make a small observation that she has a weird mark on her chest. Once we are deployed to the city, we need to rescue a valuable asset for Schicksal from a person named Argent Fox, working for the Anti-Entropy. We split into 2 groups, Cocolia, Himeko, and Fuhua, fighting and finding the fox, whilst Bronya and Sere are on a stealth mission to get a key and more data. Whilst analyzing a mech, Sere gives away where the asset is. Cocolia says they've found Argent Fox and he held a key. Bronya and Sere go to the location Sere pointed. That's where the other 3 group up as well. We use that key to find a small boy, which looks an awful lot like Joachim. Bronya calls out, but to no avail. Joachim is scared and forms a mech out of thin air. Fortunately enough, the mech was all he could do before passing out. They find scars and signs of abuse on his body, and they all agree to not give the boy to the mechs coming their way. They create a plan and a rendezvous point. Once again, they split up into the same groups. Whilst on their way to the rendezvous point, Sere stops Bronya and tells her to give the child to her. Bronya is weirded out, Sere's eyes grow red and tell her violently to give her the child. After that, Sere summons the Quantum Beasts where we learn their weakness, and we find out that Sere is in this dimension is the real Sere Bronya knew from her real world. The two share a magnificent moment of reunion, shedding tears and sharing smiles. Sere explains how this dimension is a loop. No matter how she went about it, she failed and woke up 3 days ago. Bronya creates a plan and they follow it. Once they arrive at their rendezvous point, Bronya refuses to give up the Joachim to Cocolia. Bronya tears Joachim's shirt to show signs of abuse and testing, both scars as well. She tells them that if she were to return Joachim to Schicksal, they would turn him into a Herrscher and he would end up dying. But this way, she can give her into Saint Freya, a more safe environment to turn him into a good person, a possible scientist, or a Valkyrie, a person that's going to help with others. Cocolia smiles and says that she passed her exam. Sere also adds to this by saying that this is a new reaction she hasn't seen before, so they must have beaten the loop. We also find out that Fuhua has her Shadow Knight suit here ready to kill Joachim if he were to go rogue. After that, we sign out of the dimension and back to the real Joachim. He congratulates us for beating the mystery of World 1. In my eyes, World 1 was more like a test to see how humane or how moral Bronya is. Joachim explains that the Sere we met in World 1 isn't the Sere Bronya knew, as Joachim can't recall her entering that world at all, and that it's rather a fraction of Sere trying to help Bronya. Not only that, but Joachim reveals that he's just an image of the first Herrscher, Welt Yang, the Herrscher of Reason. After that, we enter World 2 and Bronya wakes up in a tundra. Her eyes are force closed, she can't open them due to the immense winter and the razor from the wind. Once she opens her eyes, she sees two familiar faces, Otto and Theresa beside him. Bronya looked at them, grieving after the dead, and remembered her days at the orphanage. She had wished Sere was there to comfort her, and just like a true miracle, Sere appears again, grabs her hand tightly as they see Otto and the others go back to the orphanage. Bronya and Sere follow them back. Theresa's trying to lighten the mood up by saying what's for dinner. The atmosphere is dead and Joachim breaks that to Theresa. Joachim leaves afterwards. Bronya asks Theresa why he is that way. Theresa explains that Otto had killed Joachim's father because his father's main inspiration was Sho Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist. Watch Full Metal Alchemist if you want to understand that one. Ending his father's life, he made Joachim into an orphan. Joachim plans to leave tomorrow morning. Just then Otto appears and is fully dressed. He plans to go to the city and get some groceries. Otto leaves and we begin to question more about Joachim. Joachim may appear young, but he's actually a lot older. He helps with patching the house, he helps Otto get groceries, he helps with the firewood. Theresa then explains how Joachim doesn't actually hate Otto. Otto originally wanted to make Joachim inherit the orphanage, but Joachim doesn't want that because he's afraid he'll have to do what Otto did to him, make another person an orphan. It was getting late and Theresa forms a search party for Otto because it doesn't usually take him this long to get back home from the city. After fighting off some beasts, we finally find Otto and we start bringing him back home. We start getting attacked by beasts, but they are fought back by a mysterious fire. It wasn't Fuhua this time, it was the divine key Feng Wang Down. It wasn't protecting Bronya this time, it was protecting Otto. Otto held one of her feathers in a different life, as Fuhua felt indebted to Otto at some point. We successfully bring Otto back to the orphanage and Joachim barges in to see what's happening. Otto explained how his body was starting to give out slowly, so he bought a gift to Joachim before he leaves tomorrow. He couldn't find a gift more fitting for him, so he bought him a cross. Joachim refused. Theresa then yelled at Joachim to accept it. Joachim refused again and ran away this time. Otto tries to calming Theresa down. Bronya and Sere then began tracking Joachim. As they found him, Bronya snapped just by his sheer existence and said that Joachim is afraid of himself. It's not that he doesn't want to, he is running away from himself. Just then, the Honkai beasts began attacking. Bronya managed to fend some of them off, but one of them managed to slip past and attack Joachim. In a moment of desperation, Otto arrived and killed the monster. Otto collapsed again, and they rushed him to the orphanage. Theresa was taking care of Otto as best as she could, but the wounds were too obvious. Otto admitted to his crimes. He admitted to killing many innocent people. Only when a person named the Paladin appeared did he change. She held the orphanage with him, but even she passed away after years. Theresa promised she will take the cross. Just then, Joachim had appeared into the room with the cross saying he will inherit the orphanage. He wants Otto to treat him as his family, and that he will make him proud. After that, World 2 ends. World 2 gave us a message to not run away from our true selves. This time it was a trial for Bronya to teach someone else to do that. World 2 wasn't as poetic or as great as World 1. It kinda felt rushed and out of place, to be honest, but definitely not as bad as chapter 3 or 4. We are once again brought back to Joachim. This time he's talking about the real Welt Yang now. Welt Yang fought a serpent in the Sea of Quanta. He was on the verge of defeat, and as a last-ditch effort, he used his body to create a seal that separates the Sea of Quanta from the real world. The seal are these three worlds we were fighting. The last word is the final puzzle. Joachim transfers Bronya over, and this time around she wakes up next to Kiana, Sere, and Mei, with no issue at all. They are on a mission to defeat the Herrscher of the Void. Welt Yang, the Herrscher of Reason, also joins them. Bronya is weirded out by this world more so than the other two. She still manages to push forward. And we even witness Welt not only kill the Herrscher, but also take her power of the void for himself. He turns his back on them and begins attacking them by creating mechs. Once they got some room to breathe, they've decided to run away to the Babylon labs. Welt kills Mei off and Bronya picks Kiana up to not grieve and let herself be killed. They get to the labs and Kiana disappears mysteriously. Bronya begins searching for her and tells Sere to run away. She encounters mechs by Welt Yang, and once she encounters Welt Yang, she passes out for a moment. After she wakes up, we find out that Welt spared her to be the sole survivor. Bronya questioned him, and Welt explains that the Shixel had destroyed anti-entropy in 1955, and he was the sole survivor. Couldn't do anything but run away, as a rat, as he would put it. Many years later, he finally got his revenge, and now he is lecturing Bronya. Bronya doesn't appreciate his lecture and begins lecturing him back. Due to his instability of having two cores, Welt's voice somewhat muted in a more psychopathic way. He created a large mech to fight Bronya, which got destroyed pretty easily. Welt had enough of her shit and decided to use his hidden weapon, the Star of Eden. Once he got too close to Bronya, it stopped, as it was responding to Bronya. Bronya used the Star of Eden against Welt, and in the distance we see Sere. Sere is talking to an unknown person that sounds like an alternative version for her. Sere tries convincing it, but she takes over her body, and World 3 comes to an end. We are transferred to our final area with Sere, where it is revealed that she isn't the Sere, but her symbiote inside her. She took over as she owes a debt to the serpent that promised them to get them out, and we enter into a mini boss, which, by the way, if this boss fight is a boss in an event, or some raid or co-op event, I can only imagine how fun it could be, because holy shit, the symbiote walking and disappearing and then reappearing, slashing the entire place, feels like when Virgil does that ultra annoying move that can one-shot you at the beginning of his boss fight. The boss fight has great elements. Unfortunately, it is cut short as the symbiote beats Bronya. The next level will play as 3 different Bronyas, as we remember our trials of World 1, World 2, and World 3. We defeat the quantum monsters and Joachim reaches out, helping us one last time, bringing us back to the arena. And this time we fight the symbiote. This time we beat it, and even convinced them we will get them back to the real world. They disappear back into the quantum stream as the monster we fought in chapter 10 reappears. The Tlaloc is a direct spawn of the serpent. The design and thought of this boss fight is good, except the fact that you can just kill its right arm and move on. Well, what do I know? Once we fight the Tlaloc off, we see a beaten up Bronya walk forward. She reaches a hand out and finds the Gem of Desire. She grabs it with all her might, but the gem explodes with inversion and begins to not only crushing Bronya's body, but also corrupting it. Quick side note here from Editor Dark, this was not the Gem of Desire, this was the Hersher Core of Reason. Do excuse my stupidity there. Eventually, Bronya drops the gem and passes out. Thankfully, what the fuck am I witnessing? Bronya becomes the Hersher of Reason, and she uses it to play around with this Tlaloc, converting her legs to fucking ultra rollerblades and seeing her mech transform into a futuristic super motorcycle with 4 exhaust pipes that can create its own road. Apparently Bronya took big inspiration from Shiro Emiya's love for swords. She loves guns so much that she began spawning an infinite amount of laser guns. Not only that, she powers the bad girl to the max and runs through the Tlaloc. Then makes her eye a freaking lock-on and destroys the Tlaloc. All the mist of Cyber Angel playing in the background. Once the Tlaloc dies, we get a 3D view of the Gem of Desire. With Cyber Angel playing, we see a bunch of weird universes that also depict Bronyas from them. Chapter 11 definitely wasn't as good as chapters 9 or 9EX, but World 3 and the finale were worth the wait with the god-awful gacha system they have. I also like the color scheme of Bronya's Hersher of Reason, blue being the dominant color. Blue represents wisdom, stability, and serenity, alongside some fades of black and gray to add some depth. Now let's move on to this video's last chapter. Chapter 12, Plane of Vigrid. Chapter 12 opens up on a rooftop with Cocolia waiting on someone. That someone is Grey Serpent. This was before Cocolia had invited the Far East branch to the deep. The Serpent was intrigued by Cocolia and wanted a deal out of it. The Serpent even brought up Sere, which made Cocolia skip a beat. The Serpent brought up that her mission would be to open the Eye of the Deep and remove the seal that will let their leader, the World Serpent, escape, and in exchange she will get Sere back. Cocolia brings up several other problems, like Einstein. Just then, the serpent laughs, saying, "You scratch my back, and we scratch yours." After that, we are brought back to the quantum realm with Bronya. Thanks to the Heyya core, she now has, well, Yang to communicate with her. He tells her to hurry up since he can feel his seal disintegrating. We also get to play as the Heyya Riza now. Unlike her other Valkyrie suit, this one is much more mobile now, which was just what I wanted for Bronya. She also has special bars above her HP that charge up the more you attack, and if you hold your normal attack, she launches drill missiles that explode on contact. Her secondary skill is making several laser cannons that lock onto an area and shoot tons of lasers. And finally, her ultimate. They fucking nailed it! She changes her mech to ride on mode as she descends and spawn laser guns that shoot. Once you are in ride mode, while you are moving, Bronya passively creates laser guns that shoot as you move. Not only that, but the special charge bars are now drift bars. The more you drive, the more of them you get, and you can't use your normal attack without them. Your normal attack consumes one drift bar in order to perform a full 360 drift around the enemy, deal a ton of damage, and spawn a shit ton of lasers. All of this is just the devs messing around since it's literally a reality bending Heyya now, and I love it! A cutscene unrolls where we first see Bronya rolling her motorcycle, and after that we cut to Sere, who's passed out on the floor, and a brand new face wakes her up. Once Sere wakes up, this person introduces herself as Sakura and begins bombarding Sere with questions about this prison. Sakura notices what she is doing and calms down, comforts Sere, and explains why she is here. Sere says that she doesn't know anything. Sakura helps her break out and looks at both ends. She says that they must move on in the shadows and be stealthy. Hey, what happened to stealth, miHoYo? Once we stealth past, we enter a lab where Sakura explains she is trying to find her sister Rin. She also asks Sere about the person she was mumbling, Bronya. Sere explains her situation and Sakura vows to help her out and that all four of them will escape this facility together. Sakura is trying to earn Sere's trust here. She also reveals that she was part of the Moth organization, but due to some sick experiments, she left and the person named Dr. May sent her here in search of her sister. Once we open the final lab door, trouble finds us. A tall man with a black coat stops us, saying we need to stop. I'll also make an observation that this man is literally holding the judgment of Shamash. So does everyone just have a divine key as they please? This lab venture ends quickly and we are brought back to Teresa and the Vodka twins. They're fighting off Honkai beasts and trying to escape. On our way to the surface, we encounter Grey Serpent, where he tries to stop us. Not only that, but Cocolia is also there and she's frustrated. She says the deal is off since Bronya wasn't supposed to enter in. The Grey Serpent presents a rebuttal as it was Cocolia's action that made Bronya react the way she did. Cocolia gets pissed off and pulls out a gun. Enjoy your stay in hell. Which quickly backfires as we see a second Grey Serpent behind Cocolia shoot her. Cocolia is left alive to witness the utter horror of these two serpents. They transform into two Emperor-class Honkai beasts with human thinking and maneuvering. Teresa tells the twins to back off as she can take care of this. The two serpents fuse as they are about to take Rosalia. Lilia intervenes and gets herself captured and absorbed. We get a small cutscene of where Einstein is being held at. One of his old allies that disappeared shows up in his aid. That ally being Schrödinger. Einstein also notices she has become part of the quantum. He obliges and begins to escape. That also ends this cutscene. We are left with Sere and Sakura fighting a Divine Key user, Teresa and Rosalia a mutant Honkai beast, and Einstein explaining. Let's jump into this next session quickly because I really need some answers. Rosalia is notably pissed off, so is Teresa, but Teresa can't use her full power. The serpent mocks her for that and she tells Rosalia that there is still hope for Lilia. Teresa will contain the monster and Rosalia will have one chance to rescue her by doing a precise enough slash. She would need to use her keen sense of smell to determine where she is. This is when Cocolia jumps in with the mech pinning down the beast, telling Teresa to run away with Rosalia. Teresa says no because she will rescue both. This is when Teresa removes the fourth restriction that may or may not be fatal. She transforms into a blue outfit called the Twilight Paladin. She lost her blade-like skirt and red assets and rather gained a prom dress where the blades are at the back of her waist, guarding her back. She then unleashes her full fury and imprisons the Honkai beast with ease. Rosalia has some deep inner thought process, but she quickly snaps and frees Lilia. After that, the Grey Serpent explains how he underestimated Teresa and he self-destructs. Einstein appears back and demands command of the base for the sake of the survival. Cocolia doesn't even argue and lets Einstein take control. Einstein also brings up the fact that she will need to pay for her actions. This was sorta anticlimactic. Teresa powering up into a blue dress was really cool, but Einstein just showing up and casually owning Cocolia and basically everything else wasn't it, man. I'm gonna be honest. I'm enjoying my venture here, but I expected a bit more. Let's go and see what's up with Sere and Sakura now. The man they encountered is called Kevin. Kevin says he doesn't want to hurt Sakura but rather stop her as her sister is a 12th Heyya. That is a fact. He goes on to explain how they have continuously taken loss after loss and they still haven't recovered from the damage the 11th Heyya has done. Sakura disagrees and brings up the fact that Rin literally didn't even so much so as touch anyone. Kevin tries to defend his point but is cut short since Sakura sheaths her blade and then unsheaths it back. teleporting the both of them behind Kevin. They start encountering zombies of soldiers that were there guarding the jail. Sere's stigmata begins reacting, and we see her transformed into her symbiote. Sere's full name is Sere Volare, so as to not get confused now, blue Sere is Sere, red Sere is Volare. Volare transfers us to a quantum dimension with a tree. We fight her off as Sakura and find out that Sakura is fucking Virgil from Devil May Cry. The design is also that of a typical gamer girl. Pink hair, headphones, very deep and attractive voice, bunny ears, and design of a girl in her early to mid 20s. Her nickname shall be GamerGirl72. We successfully defeat Volare and bring Sere back. Sere apologizes for being so weak. Sakura puts a hand on her shoulder and comforts her in a kind voice. Despite being a ruthless assassin, she has a heart of gold. They finally reach floor 33 and we sprint to Rin's jail cell where Sakura collapses and her eyes lose every shred of hope and humanity she had in them. Sere defends Sakura the best she can, but Kevin shows up again. He incinerates all zombies and tries calling out to Sakura, but to no avail. She explains that the soldiers without command killed Sakura's sister and that this outbreak of zombies happened because of her death. I was warned about emotional turmoil, but this is a lot worse than I expected. So an absolute idiot shot an innocent girl because she died, this outbreak is happening and causing massive damage to this facility. You fucking idiots! We don't even get to take this all in, as Mei tells Kevin that the Hersher is still alive, but this time Rin isn't the one in control, it's the Honkai. Kevin tries to stop Sakura, but Sakura freezes time-space between them to escape and find Rin herself. In the following CG, Kevin and Sere rush in hopes to save Sakura, but to no avail. They arrive at a lifeless, tethered, and broken Sakura. She was killed by her own sister, or rather, the Hersher in her sister's body. She doesn't grieve. She's happy she was able to be with her sister in her final moments. As a last request, she asks Kevin to bring Sere back to her reality. Before Kevin is about to utter a single word, he is scorched away by a different Kevin. This Kevin is talking about a scorched land, his dead comrades, and the promise he made to her on that battlefield that humanity will defeat the Honkai. The person Wel Tiang was speaking about earlier. The serpent he fought. The leader Grey Serpent brought up. The serpent Sere and Volare talked about. This was him. Kevin was the leader of the World Serpent. Our mission is to not let him have the Quantum Realm under no circumstance. Kevin is humanity's biggest obstacle. Kevin is the person Otto wants to stop with the power of the Hershers. This is further confirmed by both Sere and Kevin. Bronya intervenes with her bike. Kevin explains how he has been in the sea for 1500 years and no one will stop him now, especially after witnessing all of his comrades die and die all over again and him witnessing his past failures. He has the Gem of Desire now, and only now do I realize that Bronya got to the Hersher core and not to the Gem of Desire. Bronya tries fighting off Kevin and is completely outmatched. Kevin reaches his hand out and takes the Hersher core for himself, like a candy from a child. Just then, Welta reappears and takes the core away. Kevin says that the World Serpent could use people like Welta and Bronya since they are fighting for humanity so fiercely. Just then, Kevin decides he is Archer Heyya and tells everyone that their ideals will be the death of them and that they will come to see his vision sooner or later. He disappears from the Sea of Quanta and the sea begins to crumble. Einstein successfully reaches out to Bronya and tells her that there's a way to escape. Bronya also reveals to Einstein that there's Welt with them, and Einstein just says he will send someone for him, but for now, they need to escape. Another CG plays out. We see Bronya and Sere run away from tentacles. Mihoyo, I know you're supposed to reference other Japanese media, but don't do this, please. A few of the tentacles manage to grab Sere, and Bronya rescues her. They continue to run away, and just as they are about to escape, the tentacles grab them again. Bronya apologizes and lets Sere escape. We also get to see Volare beside her. My god, whoever got the task of animating Sere here really knew how to capture the moment of pure desperation and sadness. Volare noticed Sere is hurting herself and stops her. Sere's crying opens the portal again, and she begins to save Bronya. As she is doing that, the quantum beasts surround her, and now, let me present to you the beauty of Honkai. Sere rescues Bronya thanks to Valare's help. Bronya wakes up in Anti-Entropy's base and is met by Rosalia, Lilia, Sere, and Einstein. They're all relieved to see Bronya wake up. Einstein manages to get everyone out and have a private chat with Branya. He thanks Branya for getting Sere and Welt out. Branya isn't as amazed as she let Kevin out and even thinks that she was defeated, but Einstein encourages her back. He thanks her for rescuing one of his best friends. He also tells Branya Cocolia is in a jail cell and Branya goes there to check on her. Cocolia gives Branya her most heartfelt speech, and our last chapter is Welt congratulating Branya for becoming the next Herrscher of Reason. Branya questions it and is immediately answered by Welt. Branya was chosen by Joachim, just like him. Welt promises to teach Branya how to use her powers accordingly and more efficiently. Then lets her go enjoy the rest of the day with her friends. The four of them happily wander off into the sunset after a long time of being separated. Hey everyone, this is post-credit scene Dark. I have nothing to say, but thanks to everyone here. I know I didn't include every single comment from the Himiko video in the beginning, so I would like to thank all of you who weren't included there, all of you who clicked, who watched, who enjoyed that video, sent me likes, and the most awesomest of comments. I really appreciate it. It really kept me going. And this video is delayed by 1 day, actually. It was supposed to come out on the 27th of June, the same time around Himiko's video came out, but my network died on Friday, and the internet guy didn't come till Tuesday, so I had to edit chapters 11 and 12 on Tuesday. Why? Because my script is in Microsoft Word, and I can't use that without internet. So I do apologize for that. Next video should come out in 3 or 4 weeks again, covering chapters 11EX, 13, and 14. And yeah, just wanted to say that I really didn't like Sea of Quanta, so you might have noticed my tone kind of died with the difference from 9EX and the Sea of Quanta arc. It wasn't bad, I just really wasn't digging it either. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in. Stay positive, stay great, keep yourself safe. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.